Here's an episode I've been thinking about for a while now. If my grandparents were alive today to see what the world has become. And I'm sure most of you can think this same thing about your family members. People in the past have been on other YouTube shows and stuff or whatever. And once in a while, I get the question from people who have seen a lot of me. And they say, Tim, are you a racist? I say, well, not by the standards of the 1980s that I grew up in. So take that for what you will, trains of thought and things like that. And imagine how your grandparents were. My grandparents, they grew up, they were born before the Depression, grew up through all that and had all kind of problems. And they all made decent lives for themselves, and I got to see how things were. And they haven't seen how things are now. It's had one died in 80, two died in 94, the last one died in 1998. This picture back here, that's an uncle from my dad's side. He died in 12. So he got to see a little bit of the liberal insanity that began in the early 2000s. But, he died in 12, so he hasn't seen the last 10 years where the liberals have just gone really off the deep end here. All this critical race theory. I'm not even entirely sure what critical race theory is, but if the liberals want it, it can't be good. All this LGBTQIA plus whatever, freakazoid things here, gay marriage, this whole transgender thing, identifying as whatever you want to be. If my grandparents were here for any of that, I say what they would have said. There are two sexes, male, female. That's it. You don't get to pick, no matter what your psychiatrist told you, what you think you feel is right. And it's as simple as that. Oh, amongst my grandparents, my one grandmother, I didn't know her too well. She died when I was pretty young. And then two grandfathers, they were pretty quiet for the most part. I would say my grandmother from my dad's side, she was the closest one to the loudmouth Tim, that you see right here. It wasn't very often that I got into, trouble doing something really stupid, but there was one or two times. And she did not hold back on telling me what I did wrong, and a very very detailed description with lots of noise. And you go through that once or twice, you don't want to go through it again. It was not like today's time out, go sit in the corner for 5 minutes thing that they put on kids today. Back then you got in trouble, you found out about it real quick. And that's the way things were and ought to be. And kids today are missing out big time if they haven't had, that kind of, training and discipline in their lives. Oh, I think about what has changed over the years since the last one left in 98. It's almost 25 years now. Oh, wow. The ups and downs of the economy and, even just elections, how Trump did an excellent job in his 4 years. And then we had a lot of questionable behind the scenes activities resulting in Uncle Fester getting installed and the subsequent crash of everything in the economy. Oh, if my grandparents were here to talk about that, oh boy, you'd never hear the end of it. But I think about how things were back then, what kind of conditions they grew up in. It was a much quieter, slower time. They didn't have technology. Making a long distance phone call was a big deal. It took a long time to get information, order things, do pretty much anything. Now everything is all as instant as it can be. And if you have to wait a day or two for something, like, what? Are you out of your mind? Wait? Did you say the W word? Wait? So think about how your grandparents were, what they said about things, when they were around or if they're still around, and how things have changed in the last 20 or so years. And what would their response be if they could this is something I've thought about. If I could see my grandparents now and say, hey, it's 25 years later, how you been doing? How's everything? What do you think of the world and how things have changed? Oh, that would be a pretty interesting conversation. Well, anyhow, that's my little episode, my thought for today. If my grandparents were alive today to see how things have changed. quite a bit different. Not just from when I was little and growing up, but just from the last 20 years or so. Bugsy Malone in the comments, hi, how you doing there? Thanks for checking in. Anyhow, that's today's episode. Think about that and type in the comments. I'm sure you've had experiences with your grandparents and when you were little or growing up, good things, bad things. What would they say about the way the world has become? Tell us some stories in the comments. Also, I remember to say it for once too. Hit the like and comment and subscribe buttons while you're at it. Thanks.